Hi everybody, it is absolutely sweltering hot here in the UK today. I've just moved house, boxes are acting as tables, it's all very exciting, and today we're going to talk about productivity. So in response to a lot of requests, I'm going to show you the beginnings of how I've created my own productivity system using Notion, how you can create your own, and finally how that system and how these approaches can help you make space for having more great creative ideas rather than having to hold them. In case you want to know, this is called Better Creating because it's all about simplifying creative life. I'm creating videos on simple living, productivity, creativity, and ways of creating better content. It's all about helping people do that whilst living more intentional, stress-free lives in the process, and that includes me. So if that sounds good to you and you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and get involved with the Better Creating community, as I'm calling it. So there's three simple sections to this. Number one, I want to talk about the problems we face when we're trying to be productive and how we might therefore be able to combat that and overcome them. And the idea of habit change, actually it's the thinking and the systems we put in place, not necessarily the tools and the applications that help us. Number two is actually to define what we mean by productivity. By understanding what productivity is, we might be able to better achieve a version of it. And number three, I'm going to break down the essentials of my Notion productivity system, so you might be able to start considering doing similar things, whether that's on a program like Notion or in your own way. It's the thinking and the processes that are going to help you out. And by the way, they're not sponsoring this video, I just love the application. It has absolutely transformed how I get things done. It's making space for more relaxing and fun without feeling guilty about not working. So if it can do a little bit of that for you, you should hang around and check the rest of this video. If you're anything like me, you'll recognise that problem that we all face, which is trying to juggle lots of projects and possibilities and ideas and worries all at once, that we actually don't invest in enjoying and being in the moment of the actual work that we're doing at the time. It means we don't get into that zone, that positive zone where you're going freely into a piece of work without holding other things in the background. Have you ever made a to-do list and then felt more overwhelmed by it building up than it actually helping you? I definitely have. And well, the other side of things is to actually consider that if your systems aren't based on habits that you cultivate as a way of behaviour, then the best productivity tools, such as a to-do list, won't help you be stress-free. I've been talking with a lot of friends and colleagues at the moment about either their struggle to stay productive or just how to move forward as a freelancer when the world has changed so much in the last few months of making this video, and about the need to find better ways to manage multiple projects and concerns without becoming overwhelmed. Sometimes we spend so much time managing our time and trying to hold on to the competing pieces of work that we have got going on that we don't actually have time or headspace to really be in the moment and be creative. The first thing we all, as creative people, really want to be focusing on is the creative ideas that matter to us. The other extreme, of course, can be just as paralysing, feeling like we have no clarity or motivation to start anything. This little quote from James Clear has been a real inspiration to me. You rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the levels of your systems. So by spending too much time focused on our goals, we actually reduce how effective we're actually being in trying to achieve them. It's the systems that we use that we fall back on, and it's focusing on them that will actually allow us to get further, faster with the productive direction that we want to take. And all of that is founded on good habits. Habits that will actually stick around and allow you to go in the right direction. Right everyone, part two. Let's talk about what actually productivity is. I've made cards. So, first of all, the first thing we need to think about is output. This is the focus that we have, right? We want to create things, do things, get things done. It's output. Now at the moment, that's a big yellow square of paper with the word output written on it. It doesn't have any sense of what that is and how that works. We could just get on with anything, right? Now, an idea here that I've really found useful in terms of focusing my productivity is something, I'm enjoying doing that Greg McKeown brings up in his book Essentialism. He says, identify what is essential. With clarity of purpose, it's easy to say no to the non-essential so we can say yes to the essential. And that's really key here. It's about identifying the best next actions, as David Allen says, in getting things done, or clarifying what the actually essential things you need to focus on are. Now what that does to our output is it makes it specific. If you can work out what your If you can work out what your specific outputs are, you're going to be more productive in the way you use your time. Inevitable, right? Now, one more thing to add to that. Specific output is made specific by being directional. We need to know where we're going. This is why we need goals. We need systems to fall back on and goals to work towards. That's what focus is, where you want to put your energy. And your values, beliefs, the things you want in your life, if you can clarify those, you can then identify the right actions in order to do that output. Now, to define what actual productivity is, and this is very much inspired by Ali Abdaal, thank you very much for your video on this. Productivity is output divided by time. Really simply put, the more you get done within a specific amount of time, the more productive you're being. But as we can see, it needs to be specific and directional. Now the next thing to add to this is this. I've always felt this, something that he talks about as well, but I've always felt this and said it in previous videos as well. I believe that the catalyst to getting things done is joy. If you feel happy and excited and moved to do what you're doing, it's always going to be easier to do it. Now let's take a little step further with this. This is about the time we spend actually building and maintaining and reviewing and using this, creating the system that we're going to need to be productive. This essentially is the time I spend with Notion. I spend time inputting tasks, inputting information and ideas that I found. I spend time reviewing them, reviewing my actions, reviewing my tasks, and just maintaining the system. Now that takes a bit of time, and it will potentially for you, if you're not doing this kind of thing, actually end up taking more time than you're used to. But the idea is that if we get that right, we get it set up, it then leaves much more time in the balance of things to be there, in the zone. Heard about the 100-meter runners that talk about being in the zone? It's that moment where you're fully present in the moment, the power of now, as that great book title suggests, to be purely singularly focused, on what you're doing in that moment is always going to be making space for properly being creative. So that's the idea. We create a brain to support our brain to be happy, stress-free, and more productive. So let's dive into my Notion system and I'll show you how it works, what you can do with it, the power of database-led productivity systems, and don't be scared of those. I was to start with, but it's very, very simple to do this in order to get here. Nice, let's go. The question is, analog versus digital. This is probably like a quarter of the notebooks I have worked through in the last 10 years as a creative freelancer. They're all different projects and I kind of love them. But there's something to be said for the fact that it's rather difficult to search through these and find what I want. So Tiago Forte is someone who has explained and created this idea of creating a digital second brain to work with you. And it has a really distinct overlap with David Allen's Getting Things Done and creating a system that supports you, that you trust. The methodology is you remember, you connect, and you create. The great thing about the digital space is that we're able to connect things more easily. It's a more intuitive ability to be able to jump between things, use database based systems to connect our ideas and the content that we gather, so that we're more easily able to access the different links. Now, in my notebook system, the trouble with that is it's chronological and it's placed within books that I have to go and find. So without creating a second system that allows me to go back to those, it gets very complicated. Now, the joy of using something like Notion is that it means that I can very easily make linked databases and actually be able to associate things and find connections in my knowledge base, but also in what I need to get done so I can be more productive in doing it. If you have a look here, this page is essentially a blank template. You can see how little there is. I love the way it feels because there's very little there, but it allows me to do a lot of things. I could add an icon. It just generates a random one, which is quite fun. Obviously you can make that link to whatever the page is about. Do quite a lot to customize what you're doing. And then of course you can start with just an empty page. I could start with a table, or I could just use one of the templates that Notion offers. You know, a personal home, task lists. There's a ton of things that you can do, blog posts. So you see actually habit tracking. It'll offer you a simple notebook, all of these things. But I'm actually finding that these are great ways into it, but actually once you've worked out what you're doing, you can build your own. So this is what I've built from scratch using Notion and from inspiration from a number of different things. So this side down here is all the task inbox, the priorities, overdue. I can talk about that in a bit more detail later on, but that is essentially based on the GTD, getting things done system for managing projects and actions and tasks. So that's what happens over here. Over on this side, I have weekly planners that I can actually lay out what I'm doing over a week. You can see here's a combination of some YouTube stuff there that's red. I've got kind of planning out my exercise and my free time and kind of projects and meetings for freelance work, that kind of stuff. So let's talk about some of the key concepts that govern how I've created this system. This first one is about capturing ideas. So there are two spots that I capture things. The first is in my task inbox. This is it here. Now, I will go into more detail on another video about exactly how you create all of this, but the way this works is essentially, if I, at any point in the day where I go, I've got to do something. For example, we've moved house, I need to notify the water company. I can go here, click on my task inbox, call water company, yep, and then done, and it's in there. There it is. But until I relate it into a project, and a project is essentially anything that is more than one action that you can't do in 2 minutes, according to getting things done. I can clear this inbox and put it into the system so it comes back to me. David Allen suggests that if it can't be done right now, you either do it, delegate it, or defer it. So that basically means I can either do it now because it'll take 2 minutes, delegate it to someone else, or defer it, which is the idea of putting it into the system so it comes back to you. So for the call of the water company, let's say I'm going to get that done. I'm just going to get it done tomorrow. So I'm going to put that in. It's the 7th today. I'm going to put it in for the 8th. It's still in my inbox. But I need to relate it to a project. And when I relate it to a project, it means it will go off into the system and come out of my inbox, so I know that it'll come back to me. Actually, we could say house move. I think I've got a house move area here. Let me just find it. Okay, anyone? Here it is, house sale purchase. Goes into there, and look, it's disappeared. So if we now go down, it was for the tomorrow, right? So currently today, it's not in today, but if I go to tomorrow, there it is, call the water company. So that means that using these programmed copies of the database, it's bringing it back to me. I've programmed it so when I click done, it disappears. Let's say I've already done it, and it's gone. That's how this system works. Really, really helpful. There's a review. The probably the most important thing in this system, in the Getting Things Done system, is the idea of the weekly review. This is what I mean about a habit. Allocate yourself some time each week to review your projects and go, is there anything I want to change? Anything I need to do now or bring forward in importance or make a priority? Am I just happy that it's there and it's moving along? Or is it not relevant anymore? And that review is the thing that makes me not feel stressed. Because what it allows me to do is know that the system will ask me to review things once a week. And what it's brilliant for, the weekly review, is to allow you to remember things like bucket lists. Because your bucket list, travel to Vietnam, jump out of an aeroplane, those things don't have due dates often. They're just things that you're excited to do. Actually, there are two things that currently need review that I haven't looked at. So let's have a little look at that. I open this up, and what it allows me to do within this, I've got another copy of all of the things that I need to get done within it. So actually, look, there's loads of things here. I've done that. And you can just go through and go, I haven't updated, I've updated that. I haven't done that. And look at it, and it's reminding me about those tasks that aren't on a timer. If I'm happy that it just can be left, or I've done what I need to do on the project, I go back up in this system and I just click the last review is now today. Yeah, so I'm going to say it's been reviewed today, and that now means it will come back to me in a week. If you look back here, it's now disappeared from the list. And I think that is the brilliant system of creating something that does that work for you. So now every Monday, a big list of things will come up under Needs Review. I can check it and I know I'm on top of things. And it just makes me so much calmer. The next inbox, the next information capture area is for ideas, inspiration, references. So I work on lots of different projects, so I could be collecting them, let's say in one different notebook for each project. But actually, who's to say that that inspiration won't be useful in another way for another project at another point? And I have one home for ideas, which is this, the bibliography of inspiration. It is where I put things that I know I'm going to want to use again, and the reading list is a list of things I want to read and look at, and then I'll work out where they go, and they're a linked database. So if we look at the bibliography of inspiration, you'll see a list of things that I have found and really enjoyed looking at or watching. They have tags to say what they are. So sometimes it'll say it's a video, or it's inspiration for something, or it's about productivity. Yeah. But it's a bit deeper than that, because this is a database. What I'm able to do is build different views, and it does all this automatically. You just add the view and it'll do it. So here, for example, this connections table I've created has a little bit more going on. There it is, there's the information, and I can just add a new thing if I want, same as before. Put it in, I can give it a status if I want, yeah, so it might actually be that I want it to be just on the reading list ready to go, or it might be that I've already read it and I just want to put it in there. I'd put it in there, let me just get rid of that. You'll see that I've got the tags and the name as we had before, but now we have freelance projects or projects that it might link to, so references can link to very specific things. And in this one, this is linking to a database where I'm creating my YouTube videos. And what that means is the things I'm finding, I can look at them and go, oh, actually that's perfect for this video. So this is the one we're doing, habit change and creating a digital, I can't remember what I'm calling it now, but digital brain. So if I click onto that, this will actually take me to the project plan for this video. And there's my script for this very video. It's a script, it's a set of bits of research and ideas. And again, you can see within this is I've created a template that allows me to create systems to check that things are right, to work on the keywords, to come up with title ideas, and then I've got guides for developing story. And the point is rather than go into all of that detail, let me know if you'd like to see more of this kind of thing, but it gives me this system that is interconnected. If I'm, say, in Google, you can install a link to Notion, or if you're on your phone, you know when you kind of click share on something, Notion will come up, you can click Notion, pick a page, I pick the bibliography inspiration, and it drops it in there. So on the go, I know that I'm always going to find the things that I'm excited by in here. Now you see over here it says status. If I click on my status view, you'll see that I have stuff that's in the bibliography of inspiration. So this is stuff that I know I'm gonna want to reuse or potentially come back to in reference to things I'm doing. This is stuff that I've read, done, it was fine, I just didn't feel I needed it. And then I've got my on reading list, which is all the stuff that I would like to get to reading at some other point. And then currently consuming other things that I am looking at the moment. Now finally, the tag view, which is quite useful. If I go to the tags group, Notion's telling me what's new. In this, you'll see that it also links them by tags. So whatever the tags are you create, it will show them. So what's lovely here is, here's all the podcasts that I've been listening to down this side. So if I just want to go, I just want to listen to some podcasts, I can go in, find them really easily. Again, this is all music that is interesting to listen to, and so on and so forth. And I've got a ton of tags. I use this really, it looks overwhelming, but I use this really just for when I want to go, I quite like to look at what I had around career development, and it's all in one place. So hopefully there's some great pointers there that can help you as much as they've helped me to clear that space, organise your time, and focus on the things that really matter. There's loads of great references I will list in the comments below to the people that have inspired this. If you are not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and stay connected with the channel. I'd really appreciate it. I've been getting lovely comments and conversations, so do keep doing that. I'm really enjoying the dialogue, and let me know what else can I cover in the comments below. It would be great to hear from you. Until the next video, get outside, have a lovely time in the sun, if it is sunny where you are like it is where I am. And don't forget, there's really only 3 things you can do. Do it now, defer it for later, or just delegate it to somebody else. It's so hot.